Hello, David.
Hi, Kurt.
How are you?
Okay, just scrambling around, getting TV and remote going. I'll be back in a moment.
Take your time. We're good. There you are
Here I am,
at the Golden Gate Bridge.
also referred to as the Lincolnville Town Office.
Yep. I don't know what's going on. My picture is kind of fuzzy tonight for some reason. They ran fiber out here today. And to be real honest with you, my wife asked him, hey, you do know that we have fiber. And the guy said, we are running fiber on every road of this town. He said, whether it's got fiber or not, we're running it. And I'm like, whoa. So whatever.
Somebody somewhere's making the calls.
Yeah. So,
well, a number of spots, I think, I'm still a technological dinosaur, but a number of spots only have so much capacity, I think. And if they're running, they have to run more, bigger, faster, whatever. So,
yeah. And maybe that's the deal. Fiber is run. They pulled it through conduit under the ground. There was, or direct burial or something, because they were pulling it out through conduit that comes up by the pole at the end of the driveway. It's not, they didn't, yeah. I don't know what's going on, but I know for quite a while there's been fiber a fair amount of way up the road. Hey, Josh. So up as far as the Marino's house anyway that I know of. I know they've had fiber as long as we have.
Well, they may be doing some sort of upgrade to the, head end or something.
Yeah.
Beyond, this stuff is all beyond me.
Yeah.
All pretty close.
Hey guys.
How you doing, Josh?
Good. How about you?
Good.
Top of the world.
Well, let's not stretch that.
Looks like the sun's shining over the landfill.
Yes. Isn't that something?
Okay.
Hi, Mike.
Hey, Mike.
Hey there, how we doing? Hey, Kern,
How
Dave.
you doing?
Hey, Mike.
How's it going, David? Ooh,
Hey, Laidley.
hi, Lately.
Hey, Lizzie.
Good evening, everyone.
Hi there.
Hello. Is Jordan.
There it is. Connecting to the internet.
Oh,
There he was.
coming on.
There was Jordan.
Yeah.
Visit.
Doing it again.
Yes, Jordan again.
We can't hear you, Jordan.
Nope.
No.
No. You're muted. Got to turn it up.
He's not muted.
No?
You might have to change your audio input.
Right. Sorry about that. New
It's
device.
all right.
There we go.
You're on.
All right.
But now you're muted.
You're on
Yeah,
twice on
I
my.
mute it when I'm not talking just to cut
Oh,
down on
okay.
background noise. And
Gotcha.
sounds like somebody's got a nervous tick with a pen. I noticed that last meeting.
Like this? I don't think I've been doing it, but
Well, it's 6 p.m., so let's get started. Welcome, everyone, to the Lincolnville Selectmen's meeting. It is the 28th of December already. And just as a reminder to everyone participating and anyone watching, although I don't think we have any visitors, that we are operating as declared by the governor in the state of emergency and therefore subject to the Maine Freedom of Access Act. And we are conducting this meeting via Zoom. We do encourage the public to participate through telephonic, video, electronic, or other means. We welcome people to send emails, participate via the Zoom chat, call us, or if you're confused in any way, are unsure how to participate, please feel free to reach out to us and we will try to make all accommodations. All actions taken by the board will be done by roll call vote, and that will include adjournment. So before we get going, Mike, would you read the quote of the evening?
Sure. Every mile is two in winter by George Herbert.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And Mr. Kinney, do we have anyone to participate in citizens forum for any non-agenda items?
We have no attendees and nobody sent anything via email. So I guess not.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, let's move along to the administrator's report then.
This will be short and sweet. Besides the agenda, for all you dog owners out there, licenses expire at the end of this month. Please get in to renew it, your dog licenses, or you can do them online through the town's website under online services.
If you forget something, feel free to jump in. Let's move along to upcoming meetings and announcements.
All meetings are remote, unless announced otherwise. Midcoast Solid Waste Corporation Board of Directors meets Wednesday, December 30th, 6:30 p.m. Planning Board meets Wednesday, December 30th, 7 p.m. The town office will be closed on Friday, January 1st. Thank you very much for New Year's Day. And the Board of Selectmen is scheduled to meet next on Monday, January 11th, 6 p.m.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Are there any upcoming community events anyone wishes to share? Seeing no one jumping up and down, we'll move along to number 5, the meeting minutes from the 14th of December.
I move that the board approve the December 14th, 2020 meeting minutes as presented.
Second.
Second.
Moved by Selectman Late, seconded by Selectman Garrettson. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion. Selectman Late, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Garrettson, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Ray, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Barnett Parker, what's your vote?
Yes.
And Selectman Dunn, my vote is yes, the minutes are approved. And moving rapidly along, we have the liquor license renewal application from the Youngstown Inn and Restaurant. David, I'm going to guess that we didn't invite them because this is just a renewal.
I did send them an invitation, but I didn't hear back. I do know that they are headed, they may be gone. They're going to be gone for an extended period of time and wanted to try to get this done before they left. So I don't know if they're here or not. But
Yep. Yeah, no troubles. I just wanted to make sure that we weren't running roughshod over their participation. So if the board doesn't have any immediate conversation, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that the board approve and sign the liquor license application submitted by the Youngstown Inn and Restaurant.
Second then.
Moved by Selectman Late, seconded by Selectman Barnett Parker. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, Selectman Late, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Garrettson, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Ray, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Barnett Parker, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Dunn, my vote is yes. Motion passes. Thank you all very much. And I see we do have the chief here waiting in the wing. So while David brings him over, we do have an update from our fire chief. And when he's ready, I'll let him take the lead on this. There you are. I think you're muted. There you are.
Hope everybody had a
Welcome.
good Christmas holiday. So I'm assuming everyone received the email that I forwarded to David.
about engine 5.
Right.
I guess, you know, we don't have much of a choice but to take it out of service unless we want to spend probably more money than the truck will be worth at the end of the day to repair it. So I guess I'm just looking to answer any other questions that may come up, and basically ask that we can get rid of this truck or sell it to, you know, it's worth something to somebody. But I don't know what we need to do to actually, you know, sell it to someone who may want to purchase it, or if it just goes out to bid like anything else.
I don't know.
Go ahead.
Donnie, I just want to thank you for, you know, you and the guys for being comprehensive every time you are looking these things over. Had a conversation, not the board doesn't know this, but once this came across my email, I reached out to Donnie, had a conversation about this. Also viewed some pictures, and I wholeheartedly agree. This is not anything we want as a town to take on. His opinion, his and the fire department's opinion to move us along, I agree 100%. Although I'm licensed by the state police to inspect commercial vehicles, I talked to another inspection mechanic who most likely would have been the one to look this vehicle over for state inspection. And he is of the same opinion.
Okay.
So thank you very much, Donnie. I agree. I turn this back over to you because you guys know what you're doing. I also, so the board knows, I'd had a conversation with Donnie about a preliminary plan, and it sounds like everything is covered, and I'm sure he'll go over that with you.
Yeah, any other questions for the chief?
Yeah, I was just wondering, how old is engine 5?
It is a 1995.
Okay,
Or sorry, I'm sorry, it's a 1998.
okay. And when was it slated to be replaced?
In 6 to 7 years.
Okay,
The goal was to keep that engine 5 for another 6 or 7 years, and engine 2 was to leave, you know, at some point next year. But unfortunately, I think the smart thing for us to do would be to keep engine 2 and get rid of engine 5. Engine 2 seems to suit us just fine, and if we keep up on some rust preventative maintenance and keeping the truck serviced, I think we'll be fine for the next 6 or 7 years.
okay. And so do we have, I don't know anything about repairing frames on vehicles, especially fire trucks. I mean, so how much would something like that cost?
We didn't actually go out and see any definite prices on what it would cost to replace the frame. I would guess it would be well over $25,000 or $30,000. You're going to end up having to buy an entire frame for the truck and then pay an outfit to remove the cab, the engine, the transmission, the axles, everything. And the other thing that needs to be replaced on that truck, if we were to go to that extent, is what they call the water tank cradle, which is made of steel. And that basically has been given a service life roughly of 5 to 7 years before it rots away because it is starting to rust. I spoke with, AJ spoke with Hope's fire chief, which they have the exact same model truck as we do. And they just replaced their tank cradle, and that was $25,000 just for the cradle. So I would say you're at the very least into fixing this truck for about $50,000. And I think that's being conservative. And I spent some time online looking and seeing what a good fire truck that's in that model year and similar pump configuration, and they're worth $30,000 to $65,000. So the only reason, you know, to fix the truck would just be that we'd be buying ourselves more time.
Okay. And is there any sense of how the cracks happen, just wear and tear?
No, there's with those chassis, they actually have a frame inside of a frame. So it's a C channel frame with another smaller C channel frame fitted inside of it. And what happens, which I did some more research on those chassis, the international trucks of that model year, a lot of them had corrosion that would get in between the two channels, and that corrosion almost hydraulically pushes the top channel and the bottom channel away from each other, which then cracks the frame and just keeps pushing it away. So it's a salt and calcium issue.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So is there a market for used damaged fire vehicles like this? Is there can someone potentially use it for parts, as you suggested?
I don't know. Maybe. I think it would be worth talking to probably the Pierce dealer around, and maybe the international dealer that we use for repair work, and also Greenwood that services the trucks, and see if there's anybody or any market for something like that, so we could get something back out of it.
Seems like a reasonable suggestion to me. Thoughts from the board?
No, it makes a lot of sense. I just wondered, is there anything on number 5 that you'd want to take off of there before we try to sell it?
Yeah, the group kind of decided that we'd probably strip anything of any use as far as fittings and valves and hoses and caps, and actually pay someone to swap the tires over, because we just had brand new tires on the rear put on last year. Swap them because they're the same size as engine 2. Have those tires swapped over, and we've got a fair amount of storage at the fire stations. We can keep anything that would be of use down the road stored there, so we don't have to purchase it.
Okay, thanks.
I think it's our only option. So,
Jordan?
Thank you. I was just wondering how this affects your guys' responsibility, or if you think this puts you guys behind or needing things, and if it obviously accelerates the timeline of needing to get a replacement truck. I just wanted to hear what what was best for you guys as far as that.
It puts us in a little bit of a crunch. I mean, you have mutual aid coming, which is always good from other towns, but it does take away from us having Tanker 3 as a water shuttle truck. Right now, Tanker 3, if we had a fire, would be the first one out from the center station, because engine 1, which is usually the first truck out, has been moved down to the beach station, because that's the only other fire attack truck that will fit down there. So we're still adequately covered as far as fire attack. We just don't have that extra water that's getting transported back and forth to the scene. But 80% of the time, the mutual aid companies that are coming in seem to have, take care of that pretty well as far as water supply, unless it's in a really odd or remote situation, and sometimes having the extra 3,000 gallons of water doesn't make a difference.
So, Donnie, I think it is important to explain to our new selectmen what the timeline is for our new truck, which is coming, so that he understands that as well.
Yes, thank you. The timeline right now for the new truck is we are supposed to receive it before the end of this month. I just got the final drawings for the lettering of the truck today. The woman says she's going to start tomorrow on it, and Greenwood wants to deliver it before the end of the year. So hopefully by the end of January, the truck will be in service. Pending we can get all the supplies that we need. I've tried to pre-order everything, because everything, as everyone else knows, is usually on back order. We do have most of the essential stuff that we need, but we should be back up to our full roster of trucks, hopefully by the end of January.
That's great. Could you see potentially accelerating our savings program towards getting back on track for the future truck?
I thought about that and I'm not really sure. I'd like to send engine 2 down to Greenwood when they're caught up and have them kind of do a really good once over on it and see what they think of it. If they don't see that there's any issues at all with it, then I think we'd probably be fine. But if they feel that, you know, there may be something that might cause a large expense down the road, it might be a good idea to put a little bit more money away, almost like a contingency fund if we do have to buy a truck on short notice. But right now, I don't believe we have to worry about that, but I would like to hear what Greenwood would have to say about it.
So you were thinking have them take a look at that truck. If it gets a clean bill of health, then that one goes into the mix in 7 years to be replaced. Is that what your targeted time frame is? It
Yeah.
just replaces engine 5.
Yeah, so we engine 2 would replace engine 5, and then in 6 to 7 years engine 2 would be the next truck to go.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah. The other thing I've been talking about with the guys too is maybe add into the next budget year maybe some kind of steam pressure washer undercarriage cleaning thing. So maybe 4 or 5 times a winter, and especially in the springtime, really keep the bottoms of these trucks clean, and then send them out and have them undercoated every other year possibly. I think it would be healthy for the life expectancy of these things.
Sounds like a good suggestion.
Yeah.
I did have
Yeah.
question. I'm sorry if it's silly, but just in your experience, is this the first time that you've seen a catastrophic failure of something like this where there wasn't a clear sign? Like, you know what I mean? Because it seems like it's something that would be hard to detect unless it was really inspected or if it had failed in a way that made it noticeable.
I've never experienced anything like that with the fire trucks, but I've definitely seen it in my line of work with boats and boat trailers and stuff like that. But I've never seen it with fire trucks. I don't know as if it was something that could have been caught early and prevented possibly. You know, the hard part is these trucks are getting used and everybody goes home, you know, in the middle of the night. And, you know, ideally it would be good if they got cleaned every time they went out in the wintertime, but that's a lot to ask.
It's tough too if you've got a 2-piece frame, which is, as you said, a C channel. Basically, looking at those pictures, it's rotting from the inside out. So you could go down that frame with a slag hammer or a ball peen hammer at the time of inspection and find no soft spots. And then you inspect it for a year, and the next year you come back to look at it and you've got what you sent us in the pictures. You know, it's what I looked at. It accelerates rather quickly once it gets going. So it's tough to spot that no matter how comprehensive you are, depending on where the rot is starting.
So, Chief, you'll do a little bit of homework and then get together with our town administrator and perhaps loop back with us at some point in the next couple of meetings with what you found for potential resale options.
Yeah, I'll see what I can find and definitely keep you updated.
Okay.
Perfect.
Any other comments or questions from the board? Or David, do you have any final thoughts on this? Not seeing anybody jumping up and down. I think, Chief, we can turn you loose, and we certainly appreciate you popping in here and giving us the update.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Have a great
Thanks.
evening and
Thank you,
happy
Donnie.
Happy New Year.
Yeah.
And moving along, we have, unfortunately, we have a vacancy on the Midcoast Solid Waste Corporation Board of Directors. You all have copies of our interlocal agreement that outlines the basics of the governance of that board of directors. And I think before we jump into it, we might as well, if I could put you on the spot, our sitting representative, just to offer thoughts.
Yeah, no problem. Obviously, we do need to appoint someone else along with myself, so that we've got two sitting members on that board. As of right now, we've gone to bi-monthly meetings, so that means our next meeting is going to be mid to late February. So we do have a little bit of time. We're meeting Wednesday night to approve a budget that's already been very well vetted, and we're very happy with it. So, to appoint someone right now, the person is not going to be able to vote on the budget because there's just no way they would be up to speed quick enough. My recommendation is, or what I would like to see after being a member of Midcoast Solid Waste for a number of years as a representative for the town of Lincolnville, would be to see what there is interest out there for community participation. I know we've had the last time we did that was kind of it was a very tense situation. I am of the opinion, it's my personal opinion, that there wasn't a lot of vetting going on prior to the appointment. And that person ended up being removed from office, which I felt absolutely terrible about, but there were a number of reasons for that. One of the biggest reasons is the person that needs to represent the town of Lincolnville, or persons, needs to realize that regardless of personal beliefs and for lack of a better way to say it, personal agendas or whatever, that person has to know that they need to vote the will of the town of Lincolnville. I have had different opinions on things, but when it comes to voting on big issues that are actually going to go in front of the town dictates how you vote, and to not do that is definitely not why you were put in office. You're there to represent the town. My idea would be we've got a month, actually more than a month before our next Midcoast Solid Waste Board of Directors meeting. I would like to see if there's any community interest out there. I know we have one selectman that said, he would do that. But I before we make a decision, I think as a group, we should look at what community interest is out there and go from there. That doesn't mean that we can't choose a selectman at the end of our process, but I'd like to see what's out there.
Okay, thanks, Kern.
Yeah.
Josh, I saw your hand up.
Yeah. So I'm assuming you're referring to me in terms of interest. I am willing to serve on Midcoast Solid Waste. You do have a board meeting in 2 days. You are voting on the budget. I think it would be good to have 2 members of Lincolnville there voting on the budget. There's 4 towns that comprise Midcoast Solid Waste, and we would be the only town with only 1 representative. I just think it has the full strength of Lincolnville having 2 members there. I don't see any reason to wait 2 months to appoint someone else. I think I am qualified to serve on Midcoast Solid Waste. In the interlocal agreement, I'm just going to quote it. It says, to the extent possible, the board of directors shall be composed of 2 municipal officers for each of the 4 towns. If 2 municipal officers cannot be found to serve, then the board may designate other individuals. I don't think it's appropriate, frankly, to appoint someone who's not from the Board of Selectmen if you have members willing to serve, which I am. Just to give a background for people that are not aware of my background, I am fascinated and very interested in solid waste and recycling processes and how they work. I view transfer stations as a way for a community to reduce their carbon footprint, to save money, it's really kind of a statement of your values as a community. And our transfer station is run very well. We have an amazing manager. It's a really well-run place. And I attended Midco Solid Waste board meetings for 3 years straight up until a few years ago. So I really have dived deep into the corporation and how they work. I was the chair of the recycling committee of Midco Solid Waste for 2 years. I organized trash cleanups in Lincolnville. And from all that, I feel like I have a pretty good understanding of the recycling markets, of the players in Maine, of the solid waste players in Maine. And I have an agenda, and that agenda is a safe, well-functioning transfer station, that has a high recycling and diversion rate and saves money for the community. In terms of voting with the will of the people, if I was on that board, I would vote for what I thought was right for Lincolnville. I actually ran, one of the biggest things I ran on in my election 2017, which was contested, was serving on Midco Solid Waste, and I was elected. And to me, that's a sign that the community, what I was saying resonated in some capacity. And so, we have power in the interlocal agreement to remove a member who's on the board if the other selectmen don't think that they are serving the town of Lincolnville. That power's there. I think that's a good power to have. And so that's always a check on an errant Midco Solid Waste board member doing something that the board doesn't approve of. So that's always there. I'll stop talking, but I think there's no reason to wait to appoint someone at this meeting.
Mike.
Yeah, I tend to agree with Josh. Reading the agreement, the interlocal agreement, it says it prefers a couple of board members. And I'd like to see somebody get in there as soon as possible, up and running. It's up to the board of directors to what if they would like to prevent him from voting on the budget and keep him a non-voting member for a while. That's for them to figure out. But he seems eminently qualified and interested. And so that would be my suggestion. Yeah.
Okay, Jordan.
Well, I would agree, and it's nice to see somebody who's passionate about something that not a lot of people are. And I think in that vein, I would like to make a motion to appoint Selectman Gerritsen to the Midco Solid Waste Board.
Moved by Barnett Parker. Is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Seconded by Selectman Ray. Discussion. I hadn't had a chance to speak yet, so I guess I'll take discussion to say, Josh, you left off the selectmen may designate other individuals with sufficient managerial, technical, and financial or business experience to execute their duties effectively and efficiently. And I guess I have concerns because I witnessed your almost blind pursuit of fiber right. And we all know how that turned out. And so my question to you is, if you had your way back then, and I know hindsight is what it is, but I'm looking at your previous performance with regards to Midco Solid Waste. And can you assure the people of Lincolnville that you are going to indeed take those characteristics as outlaid in the interlocal agreement as priorities and not your own personal ethics or agenda that you may have with regard to, sustainable or, waste handling, recycling, that sort of thing?
Yeah, sure. Well, let me just so everyone understands the facts of what happened in 2016. Midco Solid Waste their municipal solid waste agreement was expiring with PERC, and we needed to sign with someone else. And so the Lincolnville Board of Selectmen was recommending a 20-year contract with EcoMaine, and I thought that what was better for the community was a 15-year contract with Fiberite. And so I worked with a number of community members. I was not on the Board of Selectmen, but I worked with a number of community members to advocate for going with Fiberite because I thought it was going to save the town money and it was going to be a lower carbon footprint. And so what happened was the 20-year contract with EcoMaine was defeated in 3 out of 4 towns, but I think a contract over 3 years needs to be unanimous with all 4 towns. So it went back to the Mako Solid Waste Board of Directors, and I think it was John French pushed for a 3 to 5 year contract with EcoMaine, and so that's what ultimately passed all 4 towns. And so I actually view what I did as a good thing, because we didn't sign a 20-year contract with EcoMaine, and here we are looking at a new contract with Waste Management, not EcoMaine, because Waste Management right now in 2020 is the better short-term solution for Mako Solid Waste. So because of the private citizen input that I had in our community, we have options now. And in 3 to 5 years, when that, or I don't know if it's 3 years or 3 to 5 years, when that waste management contract expires, if that's what Mako Solid Waste agrees, then we can look at everything that's out there for the future of where we should send our solid waste. We have to remember, yes, Fiberite, the technology is sound and it has not been managed well at all. That has been a total failure, but it is something that could still make sense in the future for Lincolnville, but no one can tell the future. And in 3 to 5 years, the Mako Solid Waste Board will look at them, we'll look at Waste Management, we'll look at EcoMaine, we'll look at PERC, and make a good decision then.
Okay, thank you for that. I guess to conclude my thought and to touch back on what Kern suggested, I want to make sure, because the board has in the past had individuals who either had a lot of enthusiasm and maybe not necessarily the professional experience necessary to have the broad perspective needed in that role. I really appreciate your enthusiasm for it, Josh, and I have seen firsthand your commitment to the process, to being informed, to encouraging others to be informed and care about our trash. There's not many people, it's not on most folks' radars, unfortunately, despite being, as Kern has so aptly put, its own town in its own right. It's a significant budget, it's a significant operation, and it is a rapidly changing landscape, as you put, Josh. But I'm curious that in the spirit of inclusivity, I would be curious to see if there is any citizen interest in participating. So, it doesn't seem like there's any harm or foul to putting it out there to the community. And I know our community is wonderful in its willingness to volunteer. Sometimes we are stressed for actually having people participate. But who knows what resumes may be out there in terms of individuals who would be able to lend their expertise. And this isn't to discount your expertise or your experience, Josh, because clearly, you've served on the board, you've been involved, but is the board truly looking for the best representation of our community. So I just throw that out for consideration. So is there any more discussion? If there's no more discussion, we'll call the vote. So Selectman Late, what's your vote?
Not at this time.
Okay. Selectman Garrettson,
Yes.
Selectman Ray,
Yes.
Selectman Barnett Parker,
Yes.
and Selectman Dunn, my vote is no. Motion passes. And moving along to agenda item number 9, the town charter requires that the Board of Selectmen has a secretary. As stated in your notes, that was held by Selectman Barrows. Only a person serving on the Board of Selectmen is eligible to serve in this capacity. And so I offer it to the unencumbered members of the board to offer their thoughts. Josh, your thoughts?
Well, I'll start with the question. What does the secretary do? Because I have no idea.
In 17 years, I've been yet to be able to figure that out myself. With the exception, I suppose, if the board had an emergency meeting and the administrator wasn't available and one of the administrative assistants weren't available, they might be saddled with taking minutes or something like that. But the other might be if we had for lack of a better word, a corporate resolution that required the various officers of the town to sign something, like if we went on a bond issue or something like that. But usually that's the treasurer, which is me. But there might be some corporate thing that would come up, but I can't think of an example we've used in the 17 years I've been here, to be honest with you.
We are fortunate to have some wonderful support staff to help us.
Oh, yes, yeah. Well, if you want to fill the position, I'll volunteer to do it, but I don't know exactly what I would be doing. Though I have taken minutes before, so if it comes to that, I could do that.
Thank you for throwing your hat in the ring.
Oh, sure.
Anybody else want to put their name out there? Seeing no one jumping up and down, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that
Motion
Mike
to-
Ray be selected as the board secretary until the board holds its initial meeting following the next annual town meeting.
Moved by Selectman Garrettson, seconded by Selectman Barnett Parker. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, Selectman Late, what's your vote? Sorry, it was, okay. Selectman Garrettson, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Ray, what's your vote?
Yes,
Selectman Barnett Parker, what's your vote?
Yes.
And Selectman Dunn, my vote is yes. Thank you for volunteering, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
And moving rapidly along. We have at a previous board meeting had a discussion about town email addresses for the Board of Selectmen. Selectman Barnett Parker has requested that we have a conversation about it, and so I open the floor to you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I'm much in line with what Selectman Ray had been talking about when you guys had brought this up earlier. I believe it was October. I have a separate business email for my business, and I've had my current private email for, my goodness, I think almost 20 years. And I just think that for many reasons, transparency, ease, and privacy, that's having a town email would just be beneficial and professional and would be the right thing to do for all of us. I'm also of the mind if any, there's a request for any conversations or communications that were used or on behalf of the town as a government official, local government, I'd like to be able to just provide all that without having to sift through, like I said, thousands and many, many years of personal messages from maybe people who are deceased or other people, or love notes to my wife. I would really like to see that separation. It's been a boon in my personal life not to have my business emails bleed through into my personal, and I think that would be a good way to go as far as official town business.
Okay, thoughts from the rest of the board?
Well, I tend to agree. I think it was, I tend to agree. I think it would make life easier. And there's also the FOIA aspect of it that Maine Municipal Association pointed out, which I'm relayed to you. So I'm kind of hoping that David can continue talking with the IT folks and see what it might cost us, see what it involves.
Other thoughts? Josh, Kern?
Yeah, I stand with what I had before. I understand, Jordan, exactly what you're saying. And Mike, I think I told you the last time, I get it. I don't need another email account to manage with work and personal and everything else. I have enough, and I'm not worried about somebody looking at my email. So, it is something that should be considered economically for this town, not something that should be piggybacked on equipment that's going to go away. So I think we need to look to put some numbers together from a preferred professional as to how we're going to do that. We've talked about iPads for our town officials. I think I brought that up. It certainly would be a lot easier than using paper. I think we ought to work to at least, the representatives of the town, when we're going to meetings outside of our town and maybe for our meetings here, work to do as much on a paperless environment as we possibly can. So I'm good with talking about it and getting a number, getting it in our budget proposal, and then we go from there. We see what the town thinks.
Okay. Selectman Garrettson?
So I think that it's a no-brainer to have government email addresses. I think it will be slightly annoying because it's another email address to check. But to me, the most important thing is the proper way to run municipal government, and that's government email addresses. That's sort of been the standard for, I don't know, over a decade, I think. It's not rocket science. I don't think it's going to cost very much. Whatever it's going to cost, we should do it. And so I don't really see any reason to wait to get numbers. I think we should just go for it. It's just the right thing to do. You think about, Hillary Clinton's emails and how that was such a political, I don't know the right metaphor, hot button issue. And it's something that, it resonates with the public that, well, shouldn't government officials have government email addresses? It went all the way to the top of presidents and secretaries of state. So it's something that we can do here, and I think we should do it now.
So we have no money in the current budget for it. So you said regardless of the cost, we just need to pay for it. So where are you recommending this money come from?
That's a good question. I didn't think about that part. It all depends how.
That's why I said we've got a budget coming up. Let's get it in paper form so that we can put it in front of the budget committee. We got to vet it first, get in front of the budget committee, and then it potentially goes to the taxpayers, right? And that's how we do it.
I mean, Josh, I know you were just being glib, but for a selectman to sit there and say, I don't care what it costs, let's just make it happen. I hear a consensus from the board that this is something that the board wishes to pursue. And so it would make sense per our procedures is to research, prepare a budget for this line item, and to continue with the process so that we can find a fully integrated solution that works with our entire municipal government, not just the board.
Well, my point of saying that is email is fairly simple. It's not something that will cost huge amounts of money. That's all I'm saying.
You've been on the board long enough to know that there are policies that have to be drafted. Money has to come from somewhere. So that there's no just doing anything. But I guess my question back to you is, do you suggest that we take money out of contingency or somewhere else in what is already a very challenging financial year to make emails happen now?
I mean, arguably, it's possible email actually doesn't cost anything. We have a server. We pay for server space. All the time, email is just included.
Josh, it's one thing for you as an individual to just decide to do something, but we're a municipal board and nothing is just free. It doesn't work that way. Nothing that we do works that way. But perhaps I'll put our town administrator on the spot for a second. I know you're and just I know we've talked about this twice in recent history as a board in a couple of different iterations. And so where have we landed each time, David?
Well, in the past, nobody ever made a motion to do anything one way or the other. We had our IT guy was in last week, and part of what he was doing here is having some discussions about, and as well as doing some corrective work for current stuff, was having conversations with me about the upcoming year. Because obviously behind the scenes, we're in the throes of putting together the FY22 budget now. And I had a conversation with him about the device laptop issue or tablet issue, because the board had discussed including that in the budget. And I just said, we've had some conversations about having emails for the selectmen. And then he brought up, well, you have a number of other department heads, or in that conversation, it was like, well, what do you do for department heads? And some obviously don't use email and some utilize their personal email. And he was of the mindset to say, if you're going to do it once, do it well, do it right. And basically put a check mark beside it and call it done. We are looking at the likelihood of replacing our server in the upcoming year. And he was of the mindset to say, if we could do all of these things at once, you could get it set up and be done. And I don't know enough about what goes on in the back to whether or not that's, flip of the switch or a computer stroke, or if there's something that needs to be done especially to make these work. But that's why that's why my last line of the recommendation in the description was, if you want to pursue it, which it sounds like everybody does, to just do the research and budget prep so that we can come up with something that can then go forward to the budget committee and everybody's on the same page and we have, a plan and a program in place, or at least could be in place if we had the funds to do it all. So did I ramble enough?
That's great. Any questions for David? Yes, Jordan.
Well, I mean, I'll just put my ignorance out there. I only have experience in the regular world, not in numbers and internet. And do we have any idea of what it costs to add people's emails? Because I know usually, like I said, in the regular world, whether it's a business that's giving me an email or not, they've got a certain amount of allotted accounts that they can add. And then if they go over it, they have to pay money. And it's usually according to the service provider. So I wasn't aware, and again, ignorant about this. I didn't think that there were any hardware deficiencies or upgrades that were needed to make. I thought it was just a matter of the network administrator adding emails to it. So that's, I guess, I don't know if that was formulated as a or not, but if you knew any of those rough basic information.
I don't believe in the current system we have without doing, and believe me, I'm the tech dinosaur of the six of them. The way I understand it is we have so many at town.lincolnville.me.us addresses, and I don't believe we can add 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, at least 10 more without some sort of, I don't know if it's electronic upgrade or financial upgrade or throw this, that's where I get lost in the whole translation, so to speak.
So we just don't know how much it costs.
Right. I mean, it could be, an hour's worth of consultant time, or it could be, I don't know if these are licensed. I don't understand how all it works, to be honest with you.
Well, could I pose a question just to everyone? Would it be more palatable if this was something that was only a matter of $100 or $200 to do? I know that that's a total hypothetical, but I'm just trying to gauge if it wasn't something that was a hefty investment. That would that be more palatable?
Well, obviously, the lower the number, the more palatable it is. But let's just find out. Let's have Dave talk with the IT folks and see what it might cost, and then goes to the town and see what they say.
Pardon my barking dogs, but I will refer back to our last minutes and just remind the board that in just having David do anything, he's not doing, and I'm not sure how recently anyone's seen his desk, but
No,
just having David do anything means he's not doing the long list of asks that the board has already asked him. And so at our last conversation, and I will just put this out there for the group to consider, is sure, do we want to have David press pause and make this a priority, or is this something that we can fold into the board's list of priorities and have a conversation about it with all of the other list of priorities that the board is going to consider with the next budget season? Is it really that important to put full stop and push?
It's not a full stop priority for me at all. However, I'm not. I would think it's worth a quick inquiry on David's part.
Well, am I to understand that David's is too full of work to accept anything new from this point on? I'm not really understanding, because that's the argument that's being made, is that David is so overwhelmed with work that in order to address this in any way, that he would have to completely stop everything that he's doing. There's no way that we could fold this into his agenda or his time schedule over the next, I don't know how many amount of times. I'm not sure what his queue is, but
that's the suggestion, is that, for example, we're working on putting together the budget. And so in the course of working through numbers for the budget, that could be folded into that list of research projects that he's working on. But to supersede the other work that he is doing, that's the question. I'm not saying he is or isn't overwhelmed with work. I think he is. He has a very full plate, but we ask, he does a lot for the town, but it just, where in the priority list does this fall, and does this fall and he needs to get this done in the next 2 weeks? That's the question.
Oh.
Well, David, when I was sworn in, said many things to me that indicated to me that he's a passionate worker for the town, and I trust in his ability to manage his own time and also to weigh what things are more important. I mean, he's got a tremendous amount of experience in this job, and I trust him to do those things. So, and again, I forgive my ignorance, but I trust that if the select board decides on something, regardless of what it is, and we hand David a task, that he's going to execute that in a timely and responsible and professional manner, regardless of what time of year it is or what his responsibilities are. And I have complete faith in that. And I would hope that if David was overwhelmed in any way, that he would feel comfortable to tell the board such, and that way we could give him any kind of support or assistance that he needed.
Without question, it's just in everything that we do, I would be remiss in not throwing it out here to say that of all the things that we ask him to do, it's an important thing to consider. Josh, you have a thought.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion that we direct our town administrator to reach out to our IT professional and find out what the cost would be in implementing government email addresses for the Board of Selectmen and the town staff.
Second.
Moved by Selectman Garrettson, seconded by Selectman Barnett Parker. Is there any discussion? David?
Just want to know if in that motion there is a timeline.
When as practical as possible, ideally in the next 2 weeks, but if that's too much, if that's too soon, then whenever it's practical. I don't know if that's clear as mud or not.
That's helpful, because if it was for FY22 budget, you'd get it in 6 weeks, and if your motion's for 2 weeks, you'll get it in 2 weeks.
Do you wish to amend the motion to make it more clear, Josh?
Sure. I amend the motion that our town administrator reaches out within the next 2 weeks to our IT professional.
So moved. Amended. Selectman Barnett Parker, do you wish to second that amended motion?
I will resecond that amended motion. Yes. Thank you.
Any further discussion?
No.
I just want to say I feel a little uncomfortable that we keep talking about David as if he's not here, but
I apologize.
but it seems like it could just be one phone call that's hopefully 5 to 10 minutes, and I know in his day that's precious time, but it is important. I think it's important enough to just check, see what the price is, and report back to us, and we can go from there.
Sure, absolutely. And not to put words in David's mouth or to speak as if he's not here, but sitting in this position that I'm in, all of the work that we do it's just a matter of categorizing and prioritizing the town's work. And so if it is the will of the board to make anything, whatever it is, a priority, so be it. But we owe it to everyone we represent to at least have the conversation. So we have a amended motion on the table. Is there any further discussion?
I have a question. So we're gonna, and maybe it's because I'm a little thick here, I don't know. So we're gonna check into spending money on a system that most likely is gonna go away after our budget season. And then we do it all over again. Is that what you're saying? Is that what I'm hearing?
No.
That's a question.
What am I hearing?
For David with you're asking about the server, replacing the server.
Correct.
I don't think so. I think it might be transferable, if that's the right word, when all the other things get transferred over. But again, I'm not the all-knowing one when it comes to computers. That's why we have an IT consultant that I will speak with and rattle his cage.
Yes, Josh.
I mean, if he says, "Oh, it's free to make these new email addresses with your current server," and then when you upgrade in the next fiscal year, it's going to be $500 to transfer them. Yeah, then we should look at that seriously and ask ourselves if that makes any sense. But at the very least, just ask the question, and if it is transferable and that's simply a matter of transferring everything over like everything else that has to be transferred, then at least we know.
And we will have it on a future agenda to discuss.
Hmm.
So if there is no further discussion, Selectman Late, what's your vote?
I really don't know. Sure, why not? Why not?
Why not?
Selectman Garrettson, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Ray, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Barnett Parker, what's your vote?
Yes.
And Selectman Dunn, I'm going to abstain. Thank you all very much for that robust conversation. And Selectman Ray has requested that the board continue discussions regarding broadband. Selectman Ray, would you like to take it away?
Well, the reason I brought that up is that, as David himself has pointed out, the broadband landscape keeps changing fast. And I didn't want too much time to elapse and the town of Lincolnville find itself behind because we didn't keep up with the initiative that we started in this changing landscape. However, there's been since I made that request to get it on the agenda, a couple of few things have come up, as was indicated. Deborah Hall's gotten in touch with us, as LCI has as well. And I tend to like David's suggestion that he writes down, is that we just talk to these people, see what's going on, and then we'll have a better idea of what the landscape is, what it might mean for the town, and then we can tailor the charge. I tend to think a broadband committee is still going to be necessary going forward, but let's find out where we are first.
Thank you for that. Selectman Late, thoughts?
Absolutely. The information that I was copied on a fair amount ago, I think is information that should have been presented to the board, but it wasn't. I really feel that we should wait and see where everything lands, because there are available grants or grants that will be available out there that we will be able to take or that we should be able to take advantage of. But more importantly, we have neighboring towns that are doing things that we might not necessarily have to spend the extra money to do. They may be doing it for us. We need to see where they end up, and they want to have a conversation with us about partnering with them or potentially partnering with them. I think we should put the brakes on, hold on, and see what's going on. Participate in these meetings. I think we should invite Deb Hall, who, by the way, is one of the representatives for the town of Rockport for Midco Solid Waste. And there's another individual from LCI that I think we should talk to. But I think we should put on the brakes as far as moving forward with anything until we figure out what they're doing, because it may already be done for us.
You mean with a committee talk immediately
Correct.
in Lincolnville?
Correct. It may already be done for us.
Sure.
Okay. Josh, thoughts?
Yeah, I just have a clarifying question from Selectman Late. When you said you had hoped that there was information in the packet that you had hoped would have been presented to you at the last meeting, I just want to understand what you're referring
The information that Deb Hall forwarded to us, I believe, was information you talked to her. You interviewed someone that gave you guys that information. It's my understanding.
Yeah, she talked about the task force. Yeah.
Why didn't you present that to us?
We didn't see that.
Really good information to know, don't you
Okay.
think?
I mean, it's in the minutes, it's in our meetings. We didn't see that being an option. That didn't seem like one of the options.
Well, if I could,
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
No, it's yours, Jordan. Go ahead, please.
Hey,
Well-
Mike, excuse me.
Sorry.
No, hang on, Mike.
Yeah.
With all due respect,
Yeah.
I'm sitting in the chair position,
I'm
and
sorry. Yeah.
and because we're operating on Zoom, it's really helpful if more than one person is not directing how the conversation goes. All right.
Okay, I'm sorry. Excuse me. Yeah.
Jordan, you had thoughts.
Sorry, and I apologize. My connection is bad, and I'm
Oh,
not
it's
meaning
okay.
to speak at it. Well, I just want to
I saw your
I'm
hand.
trying
So-
hard. So part of the difficulty with Deb Hall is that shortly before we gave our report, she actually changed tack with what the town was doing, and I believe that may have added a little bit of confusion because they were on a pathway towards doing something. And I wish that I had the email in front of me to show you, but she had emailed us a few weeks ago and had said, wait, we're going to go in a different direction. And then I believe the information that you saw was the new packet. I could be wrong about that, but I believe that something like that happened. And I just, forgive me for being superfluous, but I believe it's important that we keep going on a multi-faceted area here because there is so much available right now, and I'm afraid of losing out. That doesn't mean we have to make commitments or put up money, but it also will help when we're talking with LCI, which I would love to do, especially the technical survey, because forget about municipal or anything else. It's so important, I believe, for the town just to know what the needs are, what is the actual technical infrastructure that's on the polls, so that if we can negotiate with anyone or just know we'll be ahead of that. And I'm not saying we should do anything, but I do know that 14 towns have gotten money from Connect Maine and from the Island Institute. Belfast, Bowdenham, Eastport, Franklin, and Livermore Falls, Bowdoin, Eastern Maine Development Corp., Lincoln County, Monhegan Island, Northern Maine Islands, Penobscot County, Somerset County, and West Kennebec Lakes. And this is gaining steam and media. And I've seen that even in the House of, the main house, that Republicans and Democrats on a high level have come together to make this a priority. And I just believe that if we pull back, we run the risk of losing out on a historical opportunity that may not be here in the next fiscal year. So I'm not by any means advocating spending a tremendous amount of money or spending money without approval, but I do believe that there's a lot out there. And if we can have a robust broadband committee who is following these laid out procedures from the Island Institute and Connect Maine, which isn't again a commitment, but all these towns have gone through specific steps. If we can have a broadband committee who's doing that, we have active healthy talks with LCI, and then we have Deb Hall and whoever else may come in, that we've got a shotgun approach that can make it so that Lincolnville is poised to not spend money to get a resource that we really need.
Thank you. Well put. Yes. And I think we're all saying variations on the same thing is, what I'm hearing. And I'm so appreciative to Selectman Hall for reaching out and sharing the new information that she's gotten. And, and it very much seems that this is a rapidly evolving conversation, especially, and it must be difficult too with all of the money being thrown around too. There's this
Free money,
feeling of, of not
Millions.
wanting to lose out on the opportunities. And so I believe the motions that are in front of us right now will get us rolling. And I think being very active in participating in the regional conversation that's going on, because certainly, Lincolnville being a smaller municipality, but if there is regional efforts, it can only help inform any future conversations that we would have here at home. So I would love to have Selectman Hall come and have a conversation with us. I think, and the email that you all got and the latest communication from LCI looks interesting. So inviting them. And so I would love to entertain a first motion, please.
Move with the
I'm
board
sorry,
of Deborah Hall to attend our January 11th meeting to discuss the Camden Rockport broadband project and possibly the town of Lincolnville's participation.
Moved by Selectman Late. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Selectman Garrettson. And discussion. Jordan, you had a
Okay.
comment.
Oh, well, and this is nothing of contention. I just forgot to mention that we do have a tremendous resource available to us in Susan Corbett, who is the founder of the Digital Equity Center. She's been active in this. She's a Mainer. She's for Maine broadband. She's been doing this for 30 years. She's an exceptional expert, and she has offered to come via Zoom to talk to us. And I just think that that would be, I would love for that to be able to happen as well. And I apologize for not bringing that up earlier. And again, it's not a contention to the motion.
Sure. Well, let's look to including that in a conversation at the next stage along. Yeah. Is there any further discussion? If there's no further oh, Josh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just like, this is a great idea. I think we always gain something, if not knowledge, just by having conversations with our neighboring communities about what they're doing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Yes. When we can all talk with each other, it's amazing. I've been impressed by what we can get done. So I'm excited for this conversation. There's no further discussion. Selectman Late, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Garrettson, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Ray, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Barnett Parker, what's your vote?
Yes.
And Selectman Dunn, my vote is yes. Thank you very much. And there's a second motion before you I will entertain.
I move that the board invite representatives of LCI Fiber to attend our January 25th meeting to provide the community with information regarding where they stand in providing broadband access to the residents of Lincolnville.
Second.
Moved by Selectman Late, seconded by Selectman Ray. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, Selectman Late, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Garrettson, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Ray, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Barnett Parker, what's your vote?
Yes.
And Selectman Dunn, my vote is yes. Motion passes. Thank you very much. And does it sound good to the board that, you know, as these conversations progress, I would love to get a little more information on Ms. Corbett and what she does, just so that we can have it in a future packet to read up on her and potentially invite her to have a conversation?
I would gladly do that. And again, I'm trying to take it easy because it's my first meeting, but I know, I know. Just whereas we were talking about reestablishing the broadband committee, I would like to motion that the broadband committee be reestablished with updated charges. And the charges would be as laid out on page 3 of the recommendations. Sorry, I have to pull that up.
Is that a motion?
Yes, that is a motion.
Okay.
Is it woefully inadequate? I'm sorry.
Yes, but
Can I make a motion so that we would?
do you feel like you need to make a motion now, or do you feel that perhaps at a future agenda you can get together with the town administrator and have a more thoroughly founded concept to put before the board?
I think that sounds like a wonderful idea. Thank you, Chair Dunn.
Okay. So you withdraw your motion?
I withdraw my motion, yes.
All right. Okay. Sounds good. I don't see in any way, shape, or form that the board isn't moving forward with this conversation. So I don't see the risk at this languishing.
Okay.
Is there anything else on this particular topic right now? Okay. We will move along then, unless I'm missing David waving his hand. Nope. Okay. We will move along then. So we had put forth a charge to the wage and personnel policy with consideration of domestic partner insurance coverage. There is a draft charge in front of you. Selectman Barnett Parker, do you have any questions on this that you feel like you need to be brought up to speed on this particular topic?
Well, I've read through everything, and while insurance documents are my most favorite reading, I think I understood it as well as my mind could wrap around it. But if you would like to give me a summary, I'm always welcome to hear anything.
No, I was just wondering, if you had any questions on the process or the procedure that the board's going through. I mean, obviously, this is a charge to ask the Wage and Personnel Committee to put their collective expertise towards it to offer some insight to the board.
Yeah.
Are there any other comments from the other selectmen on this? Okay, seeing nothing, I'll entertain a motion.
Hey, wait.
Oh, sorry, David.
I'm not a selectman, but I have a comment.
Nope, please. I don't necessarily see you on the way I've got the queue lined up, so it's
Lucky you. I would note that on the supplemental charge, on the timeline, there's an obvious typo. There should be 2021, not March 8, 2020.
Thank you.
So
yes,
whoever makes the motion might
amend.
amend that.
Yes, thank you.
Apologies.
So I will entertain an amended motion or a motion that is correct from the outset.
I move that the board approve and sign the charge to the Wage and Personnel Policy Board regarding domestic partner insurance coverage.
I'll second that.
Would someone care to point out the corrected date within given that the existing document that's out there in the
Okay,
world?
so do we want to amend the motion to say, to approve the amended? Or
With
revise?
the corrected date of.
Yeah, revising with the correct, so I'm gonna leave that to you, Jordan.
All right, and I just now I feel really foolish. And is the revised date not January 1st, 2021? I think I had like a
No,
freeze.
it's March. Sorry, hang on.
Oh.
It needs to be March 8th, 2021, not 2020.
Okay, I'd like to amend that motion to move that the board approve and sign the charge to the Wage and Personnel Policy Board regarding domestic partner insurance and coverage with a modified date beginning at March 8th, 2021.
Close enough. Seconded by,
I will learn, I promise.
moved by Selectman Barnett Parker and Selectman Ray. Do you wish to second that amendment?
Yes.
Okay,
Second.
great.
Yeah.
Great. Any further discussion? David, we good? Yeah, yes, he's okay, great. We got the thumbs up. Perfect. Okay, so if there's no further discussion, Selectman Late, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Garrettson, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Ray, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Barnett Parker, what's your vote?
Yes.
And Selectman Dunn, my vote is yes. The thoroughly vetted motion passes. Let's move along to a continuing conversation of efficient delivery of services. And were you all able to review the late coming organizational chart? And I believe David's going to share that, and I will hand the torch over to David to chat a little bit about this.
Yes, my apologies for not including that in the packet. It was 11 by 17 and somebody, my copy skills and collating skills were lacking. So I'll bring that up on the screen so everybody can see it, hopefully. I know what I'm doing. So this is our current setup. As I understand it anyways. Can everybody see that and still hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Pretty straightforward. Town meeting establishes how government or who's operating government with 3 elected bodies. The Budget Committee, the Board of Selectmen, Board of Assessors, and Overseers of the Poor, or you folks, and the School Committee. Budget Committee, their duties are set forth in the town charter. And the School Committee, I've just shown just a little bit over to the right of this, where the school committee is elected. They hire a superintendent who hires a principal, and the principal runs the school under the direction of the superintendent and the school committee. The primary focus is what you folks all oversee and do. The next line down just sets forth who you have working for you. The assessor's agents, the town attorney, and the auditor are under your direct control, so to speak, and they don't take direction specifically from me. Certainly the auditor does not. The auditor is checking the work that staff does, including me. The town attorney works for the Board of Selectmen, and the assessor's agent works for the Board of Assessors. Town administrator, I'll skip over that for a minute in the middle of this chart. To the right on the screen are your ad hoc committees and your standing committees, and what I've referred to as regional, for lack of a better phrase. Ad hoc committees are created with a specific purpose by the Board of Selectmen, given a task that can be ongoing or can have a definitive date for conclusion. Standing committees are all set forth in the town charter as groups that are supposed to be continuing. And then the regional committees or regional organizations that we all belong to or the town contributes to are listed there. I'll talk a little bit more about, I'm not going to talk about what each one of those does, but when we get down to it, the Recreation Commission folds back into this whole conversation a little later. The town administrator in the lo and behold's in the center of this whole thing. Like I think I'm key or something, I put this together. What flows from you folks, I'm the bridge that takes it to staff to actually get the work done. What's down below are positions either established by the Board of Selectmen and approved by town meeting in the budget or are required by town charter. You'll note under town administrator, it does say required, listed town clerk, tax collector, and treasurer. Those three positions are specifically designated in the town charter to be required that the town administrator hold those hats, those positions as well. I won't say I do all the work in that. A lot of this gets done by others, but when it comes to certain statutory authorities, those definitely fall to me. Working across underneath that is a code enforcement officer who's also the plumbing inspector, the building inspector, the health officer, our electrical inspector, animal control, emergency management, inland harbor master, finance and general assistance. The finance director provides oversight of the administrative assistants here in the office. Sealer of weights and measures, which is no longer required by state statute, but we do still have in the town charter. The fire chief, who you talked to tonight, overseeing the fire department. Sexton, that's a very interesting position. Does not have a job description in the town charter. It isn't one in state statute. We have never created one, but yet we have a charter provision that says we have a sexton. And yours truly holds that position because I told the selectmen they wouldn't have to worry about me messing it up because I wasn't going to do much with that position. I signed it. Road commissioner, who oversees contracted work as well as hired work. We do hire occasionally laborers under our highways and bridges. The road commissioner has told the board that he will not be seeking reappointment when his term expires in June. We have parking attendant or parking, I think it's an attendant position. The harbor master and deputy harbor master overseeing the harbor, recorder to the board, which is basically somebody that takes the minutes. It's required by the charter. And then finally, we have our parks and our athletic fields. This says fields. The next slide will actually call it athletic facilities because it does also include the tennis courts. And you'll note the little dashed lines that come down from the principal as well as the Recreation Commission. For the athletic fields and the tennis courts, the school in partnership with the town provide some maintenance activities, and the Recreation Commission is also intimately involved in that work that goes on there. And this isn't to say that some of these other committees, you know, the Harbor Committee doesn't contribute some information to the harbor, but the Recreation Commission has traditionally provided a either at times hands-on oversight, but certainly is more active in the day-to-day management of our parks and our athletic facilities than some of our other committees are on day-to-day things. So that was a real quick overview of how we currently are set up. And if everybody's understanding of that or has some questions, probably ought to address those now before we move into what I think the board has been talking about with the possible reorganization.
Questions for David?
I just want to say this is actually very calming to look at this chart, to wrap my mind around, you know, how this town runs. So thank you for making this.
You're most welcome. It's quite alarming to me. I guess I knew it went this way. But if you think about it, each one of these positions across the bottom is at least one person. And you start say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and no one here, 14. That's if each one takes a half hour a day, there's 7 hours gone. No, I'm not saying they do, but it gets to be a little at times harried with that many people all filtering back up to me. And that's not to whine or cry, it's just a fact.
Yeah.
Everybody ready to move on to the next?
Well, and not
Oops,
to
not supposed to say that.
David, not to also exclude the down chart, other parts that also get filtered through you too.
That is what I'm here for. Don't take this as whining or crying.
No, but it's impressive.
All right, I'll bring up the next chart. Whoops, that almost looks like you can see it. On this, I just labeled this. This is a draft for fiscal year 22 for board consideration. The bulk of this is identical to what you just saw, with the exception of the lower right-hand corner of the sheet and a little chunk here in the middle, where I had mentioned in the last that you might consider. Right now I hold the harbor master's title. That's the work is actually done in conjunction with the deputy and the clerk here in the office, but and I don't want anybody to think this is some sort of power grab or whatever, but might also consider saddling me with another title of road commissioner. But the real work would be done down in this corner where I'm wiggling my mouse now, if you all can see that, where we've taken the road commissioner, highways and bridges, harbor, the buildings, not buildings, but the grounds, parks, and our athletic fields, and rolled those under what I just put in here as a public facilities director, for lack of a better term to use, for discussion purposes. You'll still see the input coming from Recreation Commission in terms of our parks. So like Breezemere Park, for example, they've been intimately involved with the, the floats going in and out and grounds there. And our athletic fields, so the ball fields and the tennis court, I call them athletic facilities on this graph or this chart. And again, input coming from Recreation and still from the school down, but it would be, a little more responsibility, or a lot of the responsibility for the day-to-day would be coordinated hopefully by this this position here. The other that the board hadn't talked about might be rolling in parking, or the oversight of that, and even perhaps the sexton's position that we still don't really have a good definition for, but the board hadn't talked about those in the past. But what I was thinking is, if this lined up with the board's thinking of how we had had conversations about the possibility of reorganizing, would be to at least rough out either the job description or some tasks and duties, and then come back and give Wage and Personnel another assignment at your next meeting with another supplemental charge to kind of fine tune that job description. So then we could then consider what type of pay that person might be offered to entice the right person that can oversee a lot of responsibilities on the ground.
Thoughts from the board on this? Thank you, David, for that.
Yeah, would you like me to leave this up on the screen?
Sure. Yeah, please.
Well, I've got a comment.
Yeah, Mike.
Yeah, well, thanks, David. Thanks very much for this. I mean, they're going on the wall. And however, I'm kind of confused by one of the things in the new chart. And that is, how would the public facilities director work on the highways and bridges when the town administrator is perhaps the road commissioner? Who would talk to whom and how if there's a culvert to be replaced? I don't see how. I mean, should I just imagine a line going back up from highways and bridges to town administrator? Or I don't know who's telling who to do what, I guess.
Well, let me explain how something occurs right now.
Yeah.
With the road commissioner.
Yeah.
The current road commissioner has been road commissioner probably, well, I won't say longer than I've been alive, but a good long time. And he and I work in partnership now, where if it's something that he's comfortable with, he makes it happen. If it was a driveway culvert that needed to be replaced, or a culvert under a road, for example, he schedules it, he does the work. If it's something larger, like, let's see, the replacement we did on Slab City Road here a couple of, 4 or 5 years ago now? I don't know if it's been that long. At the outlet to Coleman Pond, where in essence we replaced it with a pipe arch. That was a larger project that needed to have design work and permitting work. We work in conjunction with each other. Bernard's very good with hands-on, and I'm great at pushing paper, I guess. So it's kind of for lack of a better word, a partnership or a marriage there, where we utilize his strengths and we utilize my strengths, where each of us fill in the blanks for the weaknesses. So if something goes on in highways and bridges that was straightforward, I would anticipate that the public facilities director would just make it happen, and then would just provide us with a you know, a report that said, hey, we replaced 3 culverts last week and they all got done and got paved and woohoo, you know, basically on a need to know basis.
Okay.
If it required something beyond that person's capabilities or they needed a partnership, the line works its way back up circuitous route to me, but you know, keeps me in the loop, just like the road commissioner does now.
Okay.
But in addition to, you know, right now, the road commissioner has been during my time, well, I presume throughout all of Lincolnville's history since they've had a road commissioner, has been a very part-time position, which at times requires a fair amount of effort in terms of time, but you'd be looking at taking a part-time position for road commissioner and combining that with a part-time position at the harbor and some of these other facilities that have not necessarily had somebody to take the point or the lead on besides the town administrator, rolling it under their that auspices, so those folks could have a little better direct line. I hate to admit it, but there's some emails sitting in my in-basket from recreation that have been there for a while just because it hasn't risen to the top, and they might get a little more responsiveness than they get from me.
I see. Yeah. Okay. No. Yeah. No, I get it now. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, it would still filter it. All of these things still are going to filter back to me to get it to, you know, the information to you folks. And same thing if you decided the priority was to, you know, I don't know, make an airport somewhere. I'm going to filter that down to the right person to make that happen. So the public facilities director really, in my mind, is a combination of, you know, eyes and ears out there for highways and for the harbor and for our parks. And we talked about the grounds, you know, overseeing, you know, landscaping and yard maintenance at the town office and over here at the Sand Salt Building and Breezemere Park and the new park down on Route 1 and the beach, you know, would coordinate the porta potty guy so he's not calling me saying, you know, how many do you need this year? It's
Yeah. Okay.
I can't hear you lately.
You're muted.
I have 3
Yeah.
dogs. Yeah, I think, David, your suggestion of folding parking, at least just in the flow of communication, makes a lot of sense, both in its very seasonal nature of its position. I don't know if it really matters where the sextant goes. It feels like the appendix of the flow chart here.
Yeah.
But well done. This looks really great. It's wonderful to finally have it in this visual representation. So, David, are you satisfied with a general nodding of the heads to proceed to the next step of putting this on a future agenda with a potential draft for the Wages and Personnel Committee?
Yeah, unless somebody sees something that's glaringly wrong, I think the next logical step is to get going on a job description and some sort of compensation study, for lack of a better word, to see what we're never going to find an exact duplicate of this elsewhere, but to see, you know, how the town of Union handles their, you know, highway foreman or whatever they call it. And does Northport have anything similar, and kind of see what's out there for the world. And it's a little easier to do that if you know what this person's actually going to do and oversee.
Okay. Am I seeing a nodding of the heads from everyone, or is there a great protest from anyone?
No.
Could I just ask a quick question?
Sure, yeah, please.
Sorry. And I have been following, I've been listening to the previous meetings when there was just this description of the public facilities director. I was just wondering if that, when this gets put on the agenda in the future and we discuss it, if we would also discuss whether or not it is possible to find one person who encompasses all of this great, experience and knowledge, or whether or not it would be feasible to break it up into two positions. And that was just I don't know if that made sense or not, but the appropriate time to discuss that would be when it's brought up on the agenda next time.
No, I mean, we can certainly chat about it now, if you have definitive suggestions of how breaking it up into two different positions would be effective, please share.
Well, I mean, I think obviously it would be amazing and great if we could find somebody who could take care of all of those things at once. I think it is going to be difficult, which doesn't mean we shouldn't try our hardest, but there's almost a natural division when I look at these tasks, such as grounds, parks, and athletic facilities all being under kind of one roof. And I just wonder if possibly we could not find someone who could handle all those things, if we would be able to break those things away, because that feels like a very specific area of expertise that's all germane to each other.
So Jordan, back when you were watching this, I just want to make sure that when this was in its inception, when we were talking about it, I had no thought of having equipment in-house to have someone do all the groundskeeping work and things of that nature themselves.
Oh, yeah.
It's manage a vendor, that type of thing. That's why, looking at it, if the right person was found, I think they'd be busy. And I'm not saying it wouldn't be a full and a part-time, but I think our initial talks were, it's going to be a hard sell to the taxpayers in itself. So looking for one instead of two positions, and then see what the overlap is, see what they need help with. The highways and the harbor and the grounds, those are the three very important grounds, to include the athletic fields. Those are the three that drive it. They really do. The Sexton part, I don't think that should go in there. The parking for the communication part, that's a good way to put that. That should be under there. It's going to be a busy job, and you got to find the right person. But if it pays well enough, I believe we'll find the right person.
And certainly relevant to your point, Jordan, is that in and of themselves, and eventually you'll come to see this, that they are not necessarily full-time jobs in and of themselves, as David alluded to. And so by creating this, if you will, you could call it air traffic control, or David's deputy air traffic control, because currently David is air traffic controller and so at least what I'm imagining is that this individual will be that support for our town administrator and for all of these facilities, and that by encompassing, as David has done here, that it really creates the most efficient flow of communication to empower and enable these things to get done, not necessarily physically do them all.
Yeah, it's a logistical delegation.
Exactly.
I think that's the idea.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yep, good question. Thank you. Any other questions or comments, or can we set David forth on getting the ball rolling for a future conversation?
I'm all for that.
Okay, great. Thank you all for the questions and the comments. Let's see. moving along, we have before us the opportunity to have a conversation regarding Maine's Earned Paid Leave Act, which will go into effect as of the new year, January 1st. And so you have a host of information here before you, and I am going to impose on David just to give a little bit more of a preamble, if you would.
Sure. So Maine's Earned Paid Leave Act goes into effect on Friday. And it's about as clear as mud. And there's been a lot of information coming forward and then changes being issued. And there was some concern whether or not it would apply specifically to municipalities and the way we're set up. And then there's some question about how many people we actually employ in our, in the usual and regular course of business for more than 120 days in a calendar year. But we think it applies to us. Let's put it that way, in the short and the long term. Nobody will give you a very good definitive answer. But for the vast majority of the employees, I'm going to put us into employees into 3 pools at the time being, or maybe 4. First thing is elected officials. You don't, for earned paid leave, you don't count. Sorry. So that pool is taken care of. We have some in that pool of election clerks and call firefighters in their firefighting duties don't fall underneath this earned paid leave. If we paid our firefighters for call for training, then they would. But the way we currently are set up, they only get paid when they're fighting a fire, which is quote unquote an emergency. So they're not covered in that circumstance. We have on the other end of the spectrum, for those that work in the town office, the benefits currently offered by the town exceed the earned paid leave. So it's not that they're not covered, but we exceed it. So therefore we qualify with the law. That leaves us a small group in the middle, so to speak, which include people like our part-time planning board secretary, the town office custodian, who certainly, by my understanding of the law, will qualify for earned paid leave. The law requires that for every 40 hours worked, that you accrue 1 hour of earned paid leave, up to 40 in any 1 year of employment. We don't have an awful lot of, we don't have any option in terms of if you qualify, you're going to get the benefit. It's included in statute. So it is recommended that you have a policy. I put together just the basics of that, what I would call an interim policy until there is a little better understanding completely and more guidance is issued. But in order not to have any misunderstanding, and until such time as perhaps the personnel policy would be changed to adopt an earned paid leave policy within it. I made some suggestions which are in your packet, and I don't know if you really want me to read those or if you want me to go over those, but I'd be happy to do so. And maybe I'll just throw it out for any questions, I guess, at this moment.
Questions for David?
No.
All right. Thank you for that comprehensive explanation, David. And if there's no pressing questions immediately, I will entertain a motion.
I move that it be the policy of the town of Lincolnville that the town will comply with the earned paid leave law for all eligible employees whose paid time off benefits are not in excess of what the law requires. The rate of accrual shall be 1 hour of paid leave for every 40 hours worked up to a maximum of 40 hours. Absent an emergency, illness, or other sudden necessity for taking earned leave, an employee shall give a minimum of 2 weeks notice to the town before utilizing earned paid leave. Notice to be as soon as practical for emergencies and or illness. Earned paid leave can only be used in 1 hour increments. At the time of separation of employment, the employee shall be paid any unused balance of earned paid leave.
So moved.
Second.
And seconded by Selectman Ray. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, Selectman Late, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Garrettson, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Ray, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Barnett Parker, what's your vote?
Yes.
And Selectman Dunn, my vote is yes, the motion passes. Thank you all very much. And moving along to Selectman updates. Selectman Late, do you have any updates for us?
The only update that I have is our Midcoast Solid Waste Board of Directors rescheduled December monthly meeting is Wednesday night, 6:30, to vote our budget, which is flat, no increase to the towns. We're pretty proud of that, with an eye to the future, and we're moving forward. That's the only update I've got.
Thank you very much. Selectman Garrettson, do you have an update for us?
I do not have an update.
Okay, thank you. Selectman Ray, do you have an update for us?
No, I don't.
Okay, thank you very much. And Selectman Barnett Parker, in case you're not aware of what the Selectman updates are, these were in recent history started being included in the agenda because of the diverse and interlocal projects that the board is participating in. And so this is a way to just kind of keep in touch with various interlocal boards, committees, that kind of thing. It's not really a extemporaneous or ad hoc opportunity to just proselytize about anything, because we could get ourselves into hot water with the Freedom of Access Act with that one. So I look forward to future updates.
Thank you for the clarification. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. I have no updates. So that concludes that particular agenda item. Moving along, we have the treasurer and payroll warrants to approve and sign. I will entertain a motion.
I move
Could I ask a question?
Just a second. Selectman Late, please continue.
I move that the board approve the treasurer's and payroll warrants.
So moved.
I'll second.
Seconded by Selectman Ray. Discussion. Yes, Jordan.
Thank you. I'm sorry. I just was curious. I'm not disputing anything at all. There was just a payment to Jack Kelly, and I was wondering if that was for plowing or some sort of municipal services. I just couldn't understand the code that was on there.
I can explain that. I don't know if you have that in front of you. It's
Yeah, I
under
do.
municipal support, general assistance, and then from the Alton French Fund. That's what A French means. The town has several general assistance programs beyond the state's general assistance program, where we can assist. The French Fund is for industrious poor, as defined by the Board of Selectmen as to what qualifies. Mr. Kelly replaced a well pump and did some other work for an individual here in town, and that is the bill for that service.
Thank you so much.
Is there any discussion for the treasurer and payroll warrants further? Seeing nothing. Selectman Late, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Garrettson, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Ray, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Barnett Parker, what's your vote?
Yes.
And Selectman Dunn, my vote is yes, the motion passes. And is there any other business the board wishes to discuss? If no, I will entertain a final motion.
Well, I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Moved by Selectman Ray, seconded by Selectman Barnett Parker. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, Selectman Late, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Garrettson, what's your vote?
Yes.
Selectman Ray, what's your vote?
Yes?
Selectman Barnett Parker, what's your vote?
Yes.
And Selectman Dunn, my vote is yes. We are adjourned. Thank you all very much. Have a
Thank you.
wonderful evening. Happy New Year.
Yes.
Thank
Happy
you.
New
Happy
Year.
New Year, everyone.
Don't
Good night.
forget to come in some point and sign.
We'll see ya.
Thank you.